Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Shiva Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we shall read a verse and purport from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 92. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Before we read today's verse, I will read the introductory verse to this chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 7, text 1. Agatyeka gatim natva inarthadi kasadakam Sri Chaitanyam likyatesya prema bhakti vadanyata. Translation. Let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions in this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Let me write about his magnanimous contribution of devotional service in love of God. And now we come to text 92. Nachagao Bhakta Sanghe Karda Sankirtana Krishna Nama Upadeshe Tarda Sarvajana. Nachagao Bhakta Sanghe Karda Sankirtana Krishna Nama Upadeshi Tarda Sarvajana. Nacha, go on dancing. Gao, chant. Bhakta Sanghe, in the association of devotees. Kara, continue. Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name in assembly. Krishna Nama, the holy name of Krishna. Upadeshi, by instructing. Tara, deliver. Sarvajana, all fallen souls. Translation. My dear child, this, by the way, is Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master speaking to him. This was the instruction that Mahaprabhu's spiritual master gave to him. My dear child, continue dancing, chanting, and performing Sankirtan in association with devotees. Furthermore, go out and preach the value of chanting Krishna Nama, for by this process, you will be able to deliver all fallen souls. Again, my dear child, continue dancing, chanting, and performing Sankirtan in association with devotees. Furthermore, go out and preach the value of chanting Krishna Nam, for by this process, you will be able to deliver all fallen souls. So as I read the purport, I will be commenting. So it won't be very useful to have the purport on the screen, but I will just read and speak. So purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is another ambition of the spiritual master to see his disciples not only chant, dance, and follow the regulative principles, but also preach the Sankirtan movement to others in order to deliver them. For the Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principle that one should become as perfect in devotional service as possible and also preach the cult for others' benefit. So this is our basic process to taste Krishna consciousness and distribute Krishna consciousness. It's important for us to taste Krishna consciousness. As Srila Prabhupada says, that if a physician, heal thyself. If we are trying to heal others through Krishna consciousness, we ourselves should have been healed by Krishna consciousness. As Srila Prabhupada said, if you're smoking and you tell someone not to smoke, it won't be very effective because you're smoking. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed, and Srila Prabhupada, indirectly referred to the verse in his purport. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manusya Janmajar Janma Sartha Karikara Para Upakar. Bharata Bhumite, anyone who has taken his birth in Bharat, which generally means India, but it can also mean Bharatvarsha, planet Earth. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manusya Janma Sarkar. You should make your life, human life successful by becoming Krishna consciousness, and then engage in welfare activities for others, para upakar, by offering them Krishna consciousness. There are two classes of unalloyed devotees, namely Ghostianandis and Bhajananandis. Bhajananandi refers to one who is satisfied to cultivate devotional service for himself. And Ghostianandi is one who is not satisfied simply to become perfect himself, but wants to see others also take advantage of the holy name of the Lord and advanced in spiritual life. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that the best Ghostianandi is a Bhajananandi who preaches, meaning the best preacher is one who relishes bhajan, Krishna consciousness. Just repeat that to bring us back to where we were. Bhajananandi refers to one who is satisfied to cultivate devotional service for himself. And Ghostianandi is one who is not satisfied simply to become perfect himself, but wants to see others also take advantage of the holy name of the Lord and advance in spiritual life. The outstanding example is Prahlad Maharaj. When he was offered a benediction by Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad Maharaj said, Naivo dvijay paraduratyaya vaitaranyas twadvirya gaya namahamritamagna chitta Shochetato vimukacheta sa indriyartha Maya sukhaya baram ud vahato vimudam. My dear Lord, I have no problems and want no benediction from you, because I am quite satisfied to chant your holy name. This is sufficient for me, because whenever I chant, I immediately merge into an ocean of transcendental bliss. I only lament to see others bereft of your love. Once I was sitting before Srila Prabhupada in his quarters upstairs in Juhu, which are now maintained very nicely by Rajasundari and Jayashri, the two transcendental sisters. So I was sitting before Srila Prabhupada upstairs in his room in Juhu, and seemingly without any context, he suddenly said, our only lamentation, and then he paused, and it was very dramatic. He said, our only lamentation, and within my mind, I was filling in the rest of the sentence, imagining how Srila Prabhupada might complete it. Srila Prabhupada said, our only lamentation is that people are not taking to Krishna consciousness. So, my dear devotees, is that your only lamentation? Well, anyway, our only lamentation is that people are not taking to Krishna consciousness. And that was stated exactly by Prahlad Maharaj in this verse that Srila Prabhupada is quoting in the purport. Soche means lamentation. Like the Bhagavad Gita says, na sochati, na kankshati. One should not lament or hanker. But this is a spiritual lamentation born of compassion for the fallen souls. My dear Lord, I have no problems and I want no benediction from you, because I am quite satisfied to chant your holy name. This is sufficient for me, because whenever I chant, I immediately merge into an ocean of transcendental bliss. I only lament to see others bereft of your love. They are rotting in material activities for transient material pleasure and spoiling their lives, toiling all day and night simply for sense gratification, with no attachment for love of Godhead. I am simply lamenting for them and devising various plans to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-43. So Prahlad is lamenting for their condition, but not just idly lamenting, but thinking of ways to help them and bring them to Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains in his Anubhasya commentary, quote, a person who has attracted the attention of the spiritual master by his sincere service likes to dance and chant with similarly developed Krishna conscious devotees. The spiritual master authorizes such a devotee to deliver fallen souls in all parts of the world. So this is a very interesting qualification that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur puts forth for preaching, and that is that one should relish chanting and dancing with devotees. Practically every word in this verse is significant, but one of the most significant words is Bhakta Sangha, in the association of devotees. We can properly execute devotional service, Bhakta Sangha, in the association of devotees. And we can preach effectively Bhakta Sangha in the association of devotees. So the association of devotees is most essential. Quote, a person who has attracted the attention of the spiritual master by his sincere service likes to chant and dance with similarly developed Krishna conscious devotees. In other words, when the spiritual master is pleased with the disciple's sincere service, he blesses him with the taste for chanting and dancing in the association of devotees. The spiritual master authorizes such a devotee to deliver fallen souls in all parts of the world. Those who are not advanced prefer to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a solitary place, end quote. Such activities constitute, in the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a type of cheating process in the sense that they imitate the activities of exalted personalities like Haridas Thakur. One should not attempt to imitate such exalted devotees. So we are not to actually sit and chant 24 hours in a solitary place, as Haridas Thakur could, requires one to be a liberated soul. And most of us are not liberated souls. And for us to try to simply sit in a solitary place and chant is imitation. It's not real because we're not on that platform. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said that if one doesn't preach, but if he just wants to sit and chant, he'll probably end up just thinking about money and sex. So better to preach. Either way, if you're a liberated soul like Prahlad Maharaj or Haridas Thakur, or if you're not yet liberated, it's better to preach. One should not attempt to imitate such exalted devotees. Rather, everyone should endeavor to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all parts of the world and thus become successful in spiritual life. One who is not very expert in preaching may chant in a secluded place, avoiding bad association. But for one who is actually advanced, preaching and meeting people who are not engaged in devotional service are not disadvantages. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out the paradox or the reversal, that someone who is just sitting in one place and chanting may think or present himself as being more advanced. But Srila Prabhupada says to the contrary, that one who can only sit and chant is not advanced, but one who can actually go out and preach is more advanced. One who is not very expert in preaching may chant in a secluded place, avoiding bad association. But for one who is actually advanced, preaching and meeting people who are not engaged in devotional service are not disadvantages. A devotee gives the non-devotees his association but is not affected by their misbehavior. So, yeah, that requires some spiritual strength. And that spiritual strength is acquired bhakti sangha, by associating with devotees and chanting and dancing and hearing in their association. And that is described in this verse as Krishna Nam Upadeshi, by instructing people about Krishna Nam. And often Nam includes Nam, Rupa, Guna, Leela, everything about Krishna. And that Upadesh, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs elsewhere, Amar Agyai Guru Hai Tare Desh, Yare Deke Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Amar Agyai, on my order, you become Guru and deliver everyone in this land. How? By repeating the message of Krishna, Krishna Upadesh. The words about Krishna, and we'll say first the words by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and the words about Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's open instruction. Amar Agyai Guru Hai Tarek Desh, Yare Deke Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh. So here we find the same sort of phrase, Krishna Nama Upadeshi, by instructing people about the value of chanting Hare Krishna. That is service to the holy name. We are eternal servants of the holy name. And by serving the holy name becomes pleased and gives us his mercy to chant and hear and dance and preach. Thus, by the activities of a pure devotee, even those who are bereft of love of Godhead get a chance to become devotees of the Lord one day. Of course, perhaps the best example is Srila Prabhupada, who left India and came to America at the advanced age of 70 years. And he met people who you can't imagine. Our wonderful devotee in Mumbai, Krishna Chandra Das, Rishikesh Mafatlal, he always says that people should see the videos of the people to whom Srila Prabhupada was preaching when he first came to America. You can see those videos of Srila Prabhupada in New York City and in San Francisco. And Krishna Chandra Prabhu says, you can't imagine the types of people that Srila Prabhupada was preaching to. So Srila Prabhupada himself is the best example of this verse. A devotee gives the non-devotees his association, but is not affected by their misbehavior. Thus, by the activities of a pure devotee, even those who are bereft of love of God get a chance to become devotees of the Lord one day. I'm a living example. I mean, in a way, we probably all are. We're living examples of how by Srila Prabhupada's merciful preaching, we have come to Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur advises that one discusses the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning Naitat Samacharej Jatu Manasapi Hyanishwara. I could paraphrase it, but I think I'll read it. Bhaktidas, can you hand me the book? It's 1033, probably part 2. We're looking for 1033:30. Yes. Naitat Samacharej Jatu Manasapi Hyanishwara Vinashyatyacharam Modyad Yata Rudro Bdi Jamvisham. Translation. One who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. If out of foolishness, an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself, just as a person who is not Rudra would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So this verse is quoted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He actually advises that one discuss the verse. To the effect that that one should not imitate a great personality. If one tries to imitate a great personality, he can come into difficulty. But of course, we can serve such great personalities and try to follow in their footsteps. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur advises that one discuss the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam beginning, Naitat Samachara Jatu Manasapi Hyanishwara, 10:33:30, and the following verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 1:2-255. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. So this verse describes Yukta Vairagya. It's a very important verse, one that should guide us in our devotional service, and one that, again, was very much exemplified by Srila Prabhupada in his devotional service. Anasaktasya means without attachment. Vishayan means, you could say, the objects of the senses or material things. Anasaktasya vishayan yataharab upayunjataha. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. So Yukta Vairagya means appropriate renunciation. In other words, one should not reject things which have a connection with Krishna, thinking that they are material, but rather without attachment, one should engage those things in Krishna's service. And that is yukta vairagya, appropriate renunciation. So Srila Prabhupada showed how, anything and everything can be engaged in Krishna service. He used to give the example of the dictaphone. He gave the example in the Nectar of Devotion that the person who invented the dictaphone machine never thought that this machine will be used to preach the glories of the Lord. But we, as devotees of Krishna, are using the dictaphone in Krishna service. So that's yukta vairagya. So coming back to the purport, the last two sentences, one should not imitate the activities of great personalities. One should be detached from material enjoyment and should accept everything in connection with Krishna's service. So this is a very important instruction for us, how to conduct ourselves as devotees. Not trying to imitate more advanced devotees. For example, by chanting 3 lakhs names, like Haridas Thakur. But we should preach. And as Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master instructed him, that will do good for you, and that will do good for the people who hear you. So preaching is like that. It's beneficial for us who preach and beneficial for the people who hear us. And in fact, in one talk in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada said that preaching is the best way to be Krishna conscious, because when you preach, people will ask questions. And in order to answer your questions, you have to think of Krishna. So, it's. I think of the lines by William Shakespeare. The quality of mercy is not strained. It falls like the gentle rains from heaven, and it benefits both the one who bestows the mercy and the one who receives the mercy. So nice, so beautiful. That's beneficial for us who speak about Krishna and for those who hear from us about Krishna. So thank you very much. We have, I'm not sure how much time we have, but we've been together for about an hour. But I would like to open the floor or the mic for questions and comments, and we can have more discussion. I see Devakinandan Prabhu, you're raising your hand.
Yes, Maharaj.
Please.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for accepting our invitation. I was thinking I'll be in Kanpur, but I had to come to Bombay. Now I'm in Juhu. So there are devotees from Kanpur, and we have also base in Prayagraj. Some devotees are from there, and then BHU Varanasi. We have base. So I had requested Prem Harinam Prabhu that if you have time, maybe he can take the camera for darshan of Radha Madhavji, Janki Janki Vallabh Lakshman Hanuman, this Nitai Gaur Sundar, and show the temple and the the whole complex if you have time. And now my request was to you, if you can talk something about Prabhupada, what he said about Kanpur, and because you had association with Prabhupada those days when you were talking about whether in Vrindavan or Bombay, because it was always in your mind about Kanpur. So if you remember something that you would like to share with us.
Well, it's very nice for you to ask me, but I think you are the authority on what Srila Prabhupada said about Kanpur. I would request you to tell us what Srila Prabhupada said about Kanpur.
Well, you put me on a square.
You are well versed in this subject.
Well, we wanted to hear from you something that, if you remember something. Always nice to hear.
Yeah. Well, of course, Kanpur was a very important city. And I think it was the headquarters of JK. And yeah, Srila Prabhupada used to speak about that family, the Singhania family, in the JK group. And he said that it was a rule in the family that everyone had to take darshan of the deities before they began their day's activities. And if any of the children or grandchildren missed, the grandmother would fine them, probably small amount, but she would fine them. and then they would have to pay. So yeah, it was a very cultured family, Krishna conscious. Yeah, I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Krishna consciousness in every town and village. Kanpur is an important city in India, so definitely we want to have something there, and you've done it. You and your team have done it very wonderfully. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, wanted cows, and it's a very important element of Sanatana Dharma. And I believe you have cows in Kanpur. So that's also a good contribution. So yeah, before we end, we would be delighted to have darshan of the deities there. Vishrup Prabhu has raised his hand. Please, yes, unmute.
Prem Harinam Prabhu, can they unmute Vishwarup Prabhu?
Yes, thank you, thank you. Please accept my most humble obeisances, Giriraj Swami Maharaj. I wanted to you to little bit elaborate on that statement of the mercy is falling like rains, benefits both. Please elaborate on
Because I actually quoted it to His Holiness Devamrita Swami, because there was a devotee in Laguna Beach who wanted second initiation, and he was reluctant to give it to her, even though she was recommended by the temple president. So he asked for my advice, and so I sent him that verse. And he said he was just looking for some confirmation, and he found my quoting that verse to be confirmation he was looking for. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. Actually, I found this. I did a search for it, and I found it in a letter that I wrote to Vaisheshika Prabhu, who asked my opinion about whether he should initiate someone. And I replied that the following words now are prominent in my mind. And then I quoted, the quality of mercy is not strained. In other words, yeah, like Srila Prabhupada says, that it's not that if you give mercy, you become depleted, but the more you give mercy, the more you get mercy. So therefore, the quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. And that was basically what Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master told him when he instructed him to preach. It will do good for you and it will do good for the people who hear you. So, is that all right? Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Am I audible?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your enlightening class. I wanted to ask you, actually, we have read about your book, Many Moons. So we can see how genuine appreciation you have.
Nah, go a little slow. It's too loud. You have to go a little, a voice. Okay, go ahead.
So I was asking that your wonderful genuine appreciation for all the Vaishnavas is very inspiring. In our life, I wanted to know how to develop such kind of genuine appreciation for all the Vaishnavas, especially whom we are serving with or become in touch with.
This was from ISKCON Kanpur.
Yes.
But no video. I'd like to, if possible, I'd like to see the people who are asking the questions and to whom I'm responding. If it's
Dinanath Prabhu, can you put the video on, or you have taken the camera to DT? They may have taken the camera to DT Maharaj.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, how to develop appreciation for devotees? I would say the best way is to preach and meet non-devotees. And when you experience what non-devotees are like, you appreciate devotees more. The other way, and I think it was a major factor in my appreciation of the devotees in Many Moons, is to have, is to do service together. And that service should include chanting and hearing about Krishna together. In fact, in practically every case, almost every case, the devotees whom I described in were devotees with whom I did a lot of chanting and hearing about Krishna with. And that makes our, our relationships very congenial. Because when it comes to practical service, we may have, differences of opinion. We might think that the other person could have done it better. The other person might think we could have done it better. But when it comes to chanting and hearing about Krishna, it's perfect from beginning to end. And that kind of association really nourishes our Krishna consciousness, and it also nourishes our relationship with the devotees with whom we're chanting and hearing. So yeah, I think that's important. I mean, once I was in Srila Prabhupada's room in Mayapur after he left, a little after he left, and he had his front room, which was like his darshan room, and then his back room, which was his bedroom. And so I went into the bedroom to chant japa. And two of my god sisters came into the front room, Srila Prabhupada's darshan room, and they had a book of prayers. And they were like, reading the prayers and discussing them. And I was struck by how sweet their association with each other was, on the basis of Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, I think we should do that as much as possible. And there's a really beautiful verse in purport that I sometimes, read and discuss. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this is an exact quotation, everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should appreciate the service of others and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaikuntha thinking. So I think that a verse and a purport in particular are really a guide as to how we should see our fellow devotees and how we should interact with them. Maybe I'll read it. Bhaktidas, can you bring down the 7th canto? So here's what Srila Prabhupada writes. This, by the way, is Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.12, the purport. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should praise another's service to the Lord and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaishnava thinking, Vaikuntha thinking. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service, but in the Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. So Srila Prabhupada explained the difference between transcendental competition and mundane competition. And in transcendental competition, one appreciates the service of the other, but still wants to excel it. That, oh, you know, so-and-so is doing such nice service. I want to do even better service. Whereas in mundane competition or envy, one doesn't acknowledge or recognize the good service of the other, but rather one thinks, oh, that you know, that devotee didn't do so good. I could have done much better, you know. Or people think, you know, people think that he's better, but I know what he's really like. So that's different. That's envy. But transcendental competition is described here. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service, but in the Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. There is no question of enmity between servants. Everyone should be allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability. No one should be kept down. And everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform and is allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability, and everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform and is allowed to serve the Lord according to his ability. So, yes, the whole verse and purport are very nice, but this gives real good direction for how we should cooperate. You know, Srila Prabhupada said, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate. So this gives very good direction how we should cooperate and appreciate the service of others, not be proud of our own service, and encourage others to serve to their capacity. So I hope this helps answer your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for wonderfully describing the various activities of Vaishnavas and that's mentioned in this verse. You were quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that how a best Goshtyanandi is a Bhajananandi who preaches.
Yeah.
So Maharaj, so how can we have a good balance between the activities of bhajan in terms of our own practices of devotional service and also the activities of preaching, that is giving Krishna consciousness to others, because sometimes there is a tendency to go to the extremes. That is, people may only preach and not concentrate on their own practices of devotional service, and there could be some who may focus very much on their own practices and not preach. So how can we maintain a good balance?
Yeah, well, Srila Prabhupada gave us the transcendental sandwich with with our spiritual, chanting and hearing in the morning and in the evening, and then preaching and other related services during the day. He really wanted us to read his books. In so many letters he wrote that we should read his books for an hour every day. Of course, in a way that's included in the morning Bhagavatam class and the evening Gita class. But he did want us to read his books. And in some letters, he said, 2 or 3 hours a day. But that would depend on your circumstances. In the early days in India, Srila Prabhupada kept us very busy. This was before we even got Juhu. And I was with him in Calcutta. And I didn't have time to read, and I was feeling guilty about it. And I didn't say anything to Srila Prabhupada. I was in his room in Calcutta, and he himself quoted Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text, I think 17 or maybe 18. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. And that Bhagavat Sevya, it can refer to the book Bhagavat or the person Bhagavat. And so Srila Prabhupada said to me directly that if you are serving the person Bhagavat, even if you don't have time to read the book Bhagavat, all the truths of the book Bhagavat will be revealed to you. So he was reassuring me, that by serving him, even if I didn't have time to read, I would get the benefit of reading. But that was a special circumstance. Under ordinary circumstances, we should read. But the word balance is very important that you mentioned, and yeah, we have to strike that balance. And what constitutes the right balance at one stage may not be the proper balance at another stage in our life. So we constantly have to adjust the balance, according to our own needs and the needs of the project, the requirements of our service. But I sometimes see it like eating and exercising. If you just eat and eat, but you never exercise, you're not going to be very healthy. And if you just exercise and you never eat, you're also not going to be very healthy. So the eating is compared to taking in Krishna consciousness by our, chanting and reading. And the exercise is compared to our working to give Krishna consciousness to others. So we need the two. And the two actually reinforce each other. but good spiritual practices make us enthusiastic to preach, and good preaching encourages us to go deeper into our spiritual practices so we can preach better. So the two actually go together. Is that all right?
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So any other questions or comments?
Any other question you want to ask?
Somebody from BHU voice wants to ask. Unmute him. BHU.
BHU?
Yeah, Varanasi Hindu University, Banaras Hindu University.
Yeah, I know that. So we have like a base there?
Yes, that's IIT. So Kanpur has also base, plus Varanasi also have base. So we have two base there.
BHU is famous.
Nowadays IIT Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Go. Nilmani there? He did not unmute. Dinanath, he did not unmute, Prabhu.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I wanted to ask that you told in starting of the lecture that it is very important for ourselves to taste Krishna consciousness to able to preach to others also very nicely. So, can you give some ways that we can also taste Krishna consciousness, or from your own life, can you share some instances where you have felt some taste in Krishna consciousness like?
Oh, well, I mean, basically we get up early, and our whole morning program is very relishable in principle. Once I was staying with Vaisheshika Prabhu at his home in Burlingame, California, which is near the airport. He chose that location for his house specifically because it was near the airport. So he could easily go out to the airport to distribute books. So, I stayed over at his place, and in the morning, he did his morning program. And it was intense, blissful. And then later, after the morning program, we were discussing. At that time, he was preparing to write his book, which has now been published as our family business. But at that stage, he was just thinking about it. And he said that one of the points he wanted to make in his book was that our enthusiasm to preach should come from the overflow of our bliss in our morning program or in our spiritual practices. So, yeah, I think it's natural, to get up early and follow the morning program, that you will develop taste. And if you don't have it at first, then keep at it. Now, as Rupa Goswami says in the Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, that Krishna Namachari Sutap, that Krishna Nama. Anyway, but the idea is this, that one who is afflicted by the disease of jaundice cannot taste the sweetness of the holy names and, qualities and pastimes of Krishna. But the Ayurvedic cure for jaundice is sugar candy. But in the disease condition, that sugar candy tastes bitter. But still, it's the recommended cure. So even though it tastes bitter, one still takes it. And as one takes it, one returns to health. And as one gradually recovers one's health, the sugar candies taste sweeter and sweeter. And then when one is completely cured, you can taste that sugar candy as it is, sweet, like nectar. So, yeah, even if we don't have taste, but we keep taking the medicine, and we'll develop the taste. It's medicine. Yeah, here's the verse. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitaptya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintvadarad Anudinam Kalosaiva Justa Vadvi Kramad Bhavatitad Kadamulahantri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendentally sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted with the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So that's the prescription. That's the prescription. And kramat, gradually. Doesn't happen all of a sudden, but gradually. And anudinam means every day, or it could mean all day, but at least every day. Every day we should chant. And gradually we'll be cured of our disease of avidya, and we'll be able to taste the sweetness of Lord Krishna's holy name.
So Prem Harinam Prabhu, you are ready now?
Yes, Prabhuji, we are ready. We are just taking camera to have a darshan of the deities. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Maharaj. And we hope that you will give this opportunity again and again. Devotees are looking forward. And of course, your personal visit is due. Thanks to coronavirus, which is not allowing anybody to travel.
There have been a lot of benefits to this coronavirus.
Yeah. Yeah, we get to hear from anybody from anywhere now. And that is personally.
The camera has gone to the altar. Just taking the
Saw it. I saw it.
But
It's on ISKCON Kanpur. I'm seeing. Beautiful.
Yes.
class-wise, we have separate classroom, that is Pravachan hall. Class-wise there, and then
Yes. Which name? Another ISKCON Kanpur. Yes, Darshan.
The doors look like Juhu.
yeah. Krishna is like Juhu, and Radharani is like Vrindavan. And the name is Radha Madhav, Mayapur. All three in one. Hey, what
Well,
happened? We can see Radha Madhav. Where is it?
yeah. Right. Wonderful. Those are the three main places. Prabhupada said, Bombay is my office, Vrindavan is my home, and Mayapur is my place to work.
Previndas is good.
Wonderful. Yeah, Guarani,
Taking darshan from inside, yeah.
Garanga altar.
Bhakti Charu Maharaj gave the name to Sitaram, Janaki Vallav Lakshmana Hanuman.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a distinct name. How did it happen that he gave the name?
Well, either him or me, we are supposed to give the name. So I mean, the priest asked me to give the name because you take care. So I asked him to do. So he did.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it's like Jew.
Son had to look like Father Maharaj. Kanpur is a extension of Juhu. Extension of Juhu.
Yeah, nice. Looks very opulent. Wow. It looks like Prabhupada's Vyasasan is like Juhu also.
Yeah, relatively.
And I'm just seeing from a distance, but
Because of this corona situation, we have barricade in between currently.
yeah.
Can everybody see Premanna Prabhu? I cannot see anything. So I was wondering if everybody is seeing.
Govinda Das, Prabhuji. Priya Govinda Das. Camera is taking.
Okay, now I can see Prabhupada.
Yeah, Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful.
You can see the courtyard and a beautiful courtyard, Maharaj. Looks like Rajasthan, you know.
Yeah, it looks huge. Nice.
It's 5,000 square feet courtyard, 5,000 square feet temple hall, and on total 15,000 square feet between DT area and lobby.
Wow. Well, where's your service?
All of you blessing and all devotees, labor.
Yogendra, take outside the garden view, you can show to the Maharaj.
Yeah, it's also too late. And Brahmachari ashram from distance. So for last 2 years, Maharaj is due to come, but something or other happened. Sometimes he has problem, sometimes.
Yeah.
Ji.
We have total of 15 acre land, Maharaj. This is Garun Dev. Priya Govind Prabhu, you can go a little faster.
Yeah, it's making me anxious to come there in person.
Hariyo!
Not that far from Vrindavan.
No, now it is 2.5 hours by expressway.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Book stall.
Due to lockdown, everything is closed down. Otherwise,
Yeah.
getting place. This is Brahmachari Ashram.
It's a joke, right? Looks like a hotel.
Premnath has design, so his design is commercial kind of, yeah. In one side way.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, today it rained little heavily in the morning here, so it's not much connectivity very clear, Maharaj. I beg forgiveness for that.
It looked overcast. Okay. It was good. Good darshan.
We pray to Shri Shri Radha Madhavji to have your personal association also very soon at ISKCON Kanpur. That will be the fulfillment of our desire and Devkinandan Prabhu's wonderful service here.
I'll be happy as soon as circumstances permit.
Prem Haradam Prabhu is taking care of all the devotees very nicely, Maharaj, and very nice devotee. They have
Good. Nice.
many youth. Young boys, they are joining mostly.
So how many devotees do you have there?
Around 100 almost, yeah. And
Wow.
plus few hundred are in pipeline.
Uh-huh.
Youth.
Nice. Very good.
All glory to Prem Harinam Prabhu and his team.
Yeah.
All glories because of your, we are able to do some service here.
Cows, we got 15-acre land, half an hour drive. So we kept only 5-6 cows in property for lot to get the milk, and rest of the cow we have transferred. Huge gosala we made for 500 cows. And
Wow.
government of UP wants to make our gosala as model for UP. So government is helping us.
Wonderful. Fantastic.
I know it's too late for you, Maharaj. Anybody?
Yeah, we could end soon. If we're finished, then I would suggest that we conclude with Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Pancha
Kripa Sindhupe Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
We had GBC meeting in that hall, huge hall.
Wow.
Jai Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Prabhupada.
Jai. What's the next step?
Looks like nobody wants to leave.
Yeah, I don't want to leave.
Okay, I have other meeting 10 o'clock, so I will take your leave, Maharaj.
All right.